Okay, this is a demo of some features in Word that you can do. I've got Word 2007, so your mileage may vary. I've opened up a Word document that I've been working on for patient referrals. It was a crystal letter that I'm switching over. I've got the fields that I want here. I put some other stuff to demonstrate some things that happen and how to use things. The first thing that I would suggest is that you turn on the rulers. Go to View and make sure that the ruler is checked. That's that you can see if you have tabs and things like that, they show up in the rulers. It also shows up tables, the columns and things like that, so it's nice to have the rulers in position, right? Something over here in the top corner, you'll see this little L. That's a symbol for a left tab. Okay? And whatever is in this little box here, you can scroll through it, change the plus, that tab's on the center point. This is a right tab, so things line up with on the right hand side with this tab. This is a decimal tab, so if you have a bunch of numbers, it'll line up based on the decimal point. I don't know what that is. This is to handle your indents lines, and this is the next line. Okay, and if you get back to this. Okay, so whatever is in here, if I click on this table, it puts that type of tab on there. Okay, remove these. So if I change it to this and click, it makes it right tab. Now another way that you can add or change tabs is if you double click on the ruler, it opens up a tabs window and you can directly enter positions and types of tabs. You can set if it's a left, a decimal, right. You can set if you want dot leader, line leader, whatever. And you can set individual, like I can make this one the center and set that. I can make this one the line leader, set that. Or you can clear all of them. And clear all. And that makes them disappear for that line. Okay, so that's some information about tabs. Now another thing I wanted to show you here is I've got this data is in a table. And I can tell it's a table because you'll see little blue marks over here, and because you'll see these are column markers or table markers. Okay, that's dividers for the table. Okay, and if you see here, it looks like the typing is running like out of the space, and the reason for that is when I'm in this cell, it's called, this is the space for my column, and this marker is beyond the column, so it's letting me type in stuff, and it's displaying it underneath basically this field here, and then you can see it comes out again, and then the column ends, but that data continues on. Typically these are in the middle of the bar, so if I move this, then you can see what was back there. And the other place that these are used is in a paragraph. This top one sets the first line indent. So if I move this over, it moves just the first line of the text to the right, but the other lines stay in this position. Okay. If I move this bottom rectangle, it moves the whole thing, both the top and the bottom, so they stay in sync with each other. If I just move the top diamond there, if I just move that, it doesn't move the right indent on the top, it only moves the left indent. Now I'm going to set the borders on the table. If you highlight it, you can see all the cells of the table. I'm going to go to Home, and you can put the borders in here, or you can right click when you're in a table. There's border and shading here, or you can get it from the table properties and hit border and shading. To me, it's easiest to work with a table if you've got the borders displayed so you can see where everything is. Okay, so I'm going to highlight the table, and hit that. That puts borders everywhere. You can pick bottom only, top, different things. Okay? So now I can see how it's going. If I line it up right with the border, you can see that the left and right arrows come. And in this position, you can change the size of the cells of the table however you want. Okay, so typically, if you highlight this, it'll only move that one cell. Okay, if you leave them, if they're in a straight row, all the same, usually, it doesn't always work this way, but usually it'll move everything that's all lined up. I'm trying to make this even with the border in the box above, and it doesn't want to go. It's skipping back and forth. So if you hit the alternate button, you have a much finer control over the position. When they're in the same line, you'll see that solid line turns into a dash and two dots. Okay. Also, you'll see that the numbers show up in the ruler. You can see the exact size of the different cells, so you can set it exactly how you want. You can also see vertically they show up the same way when you move it up and down. Okay, so some other things that you can do with tables. You can right-click when you're in a table and hit split cells. If you decide you want some more columns in here, you can add 2 columns, 3 columns. I'm just going to split it in half. Okay, and then you can move this wherever you want. Right? You can merge cells. If you decide you don't want that, highlight the ones that you want to merge, and right-click and hit Merge Cells. You can insert, if you want to insert a row, you can right-click and you can insert rows above, you can insert rows below, you can insert columns to the left or columns to the right, you can insert individual cells. You can also delete, right-click and you can delete the row. Undo that. Sometimes it'll say if you can delete a cell. And then it'll ask you if you want to shift the other cells to the left, if you want to shift them up, and so you have to look at what you're doing with your table where you want things to go. Okay, so let me show you if I pull this down and make it bigger. Right now they're aligned at the top and the left. I can do this and make it go to the center. Okay, I can hit Align Cell. And I have top left, top middle, top right, middle. So you can pick however you want it to display in the cell. This puts it right in the center, vertically and horizontally. Okay. All right, now another thing is if you want to put tabs within a cell, instead of hitting the tab button, if I'm in a cell, if I hit tab, it just goes to the next field. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to go to where you want to tab, and then hit Control Tab, and that moves it over. Now there's default positions for the tab, so if you want to have this someplace else, you can put a physical tab here, and so that will line it up. And then let's say we do a right tab, and what that does, okay, what that does, I had to put a space in there because it was making the whole thing. What that does is it lines this up with the right-hand side with the tab position. So I can move this around, and that's going to shove that over to the left. If I go too far, it's going to mess it up. Okay. Then I can do another right tab here, and that lines up the last one. If you want to get rid of them, just drag them off of there, or you can double-click and clear all the tabs. Okay, so that's how you can move stuff around with the tabs. You double-click in the top, and it opens up headers. You can type stuff in there. You can put page numbers in there. You can put your logo in there, insert a picture. You can go down here and do the footer. Type in whatever you want in there. Again, page numbers or your address, whatever. And to get out of that, just double-click on the main body of the letter. You can tell if things are in the header or the footer because it'll be grayed out, the text. To add a table, you can do Insert Table, and then you pick however many rows and columns you want, and it puts it in there that makes an equal space. You can adjust them how you want there. You can say you want to merge these three, select them and hit merge cells. And say you want to split this into two, select it and hit split cells. You can split it into 2 or 3 or 4, whatever you want. Make this deeper. You can control where the text goes in there. If I pick this cell and I hit cell alignment, I can pick top left, top middle, top right. I can put it right in the middle. That's going to center it up in the cell. Okay. And you see there's a little gap here. That's because it's designed to have like a margin between the edge of the cell and the text, so it's not butted right up next to that. You can move this around if you want to do that. Change the positioning. Also, right click and hit table properties. You can do vertical alignment here. You can set properties of your table like the borders and shading. You can do alignment. You can set row height if you wanted to make everything the same height or a certain minimum height. Different properties that you want. You can do that in here. And then another thing that's convenient is, say I've got this in a table and I decide I want it to be text. Okay, so I highlight this and I go to Layout on the table. I go to Layout and Convert to Text. And then it asks if you want it separated by paragraph marks, tabs, commas, other. Probably tabs. Okay, so now it looks a similar format, but it's using tabs to separate these instead of the columns and rows. Okay, and then you also have to move this over because of that space that the other one had. You had to get it lined up. Now we can do the same thing in reverse. We can take this and turn it into a table. So you go to Insert, usually tables in the Insert menu, and click on this, and then down here it says Convert Text to Table. And there's different ways. It's asking you how you want it to separate it. I'm not sure what I want. Do that. That worked. Now I want to move this over here so it lines up with the other. Okay, so hopefully there's some tips that will help you when you're trying to make your templates in Word, some of the basic things that you're likely that you'll use. Thank you.